actually less than that. So we're gonna get started right away. I want to start by telling you a little story. This is one of my sons. I have 3 sons and a daughter. This son, this was actually, I can hardly believe this was 10 years ago. I look just the same, right? Yeah. All right. Good. All right. So this is one of my sons. His name is David, and there's a David over here. There's David right here in front. Okay. So my son's name is David, and he was in Brazil. He was in Korea for 2 years. But before that, he wanted to learn Korean. And I, being the good father that I am, I said, I want to learn it with you. So he was in high school, and he wanted to learn Korean. And so he started doing class. I said, bring your stuff home. That lasted 3 days. And then I realized, this is hard. I'm not sure I can do this. And sometimes our students have that feeling, right? This is hard. Am I really able to do this? They start questioning themselves and asking, do I have the ability? Do I have the level of intelligence? And pretty soon those questions get in the way of learning because they begin to stunt the way that we actually start thinking because of all that process that can work for us the way it did when we were children. That process is inhibited by all of this extra filtering that we as adults do when we start questioning whether we can do it. Do you think a little child, when they learn a language, do you think that they think about that? Do you think they say, Mommy, I don't know if I can speak. I don't know if I can learn to speak. They never say that, right? And so, because they're not inhibited, they learn faster. And of course, we know that children learn faster than adults, but that doesn't mean that we all can't learn. And that doesn't mean that we can't take advantage of that. All the things that are available to us, if we can just get, and our students can just get their attitudes right, their motivation, their confidence, all of those things, we can help them to do that. We're going to talk about it. Well, my son was in Korea for 2 years. He speaks fluent Korean. Now he's in a company where he speaks Korean every day. They call him the white Korean. And because he speaks flawlessly with no accent, and Korean is really a difficult language. And so he said, Dad, I want you to go to Korea with me. And just meet some of my friends and experience the culture. I said, okay, son, I'll do that. So we jumped on a plane and we went to Korea. And I was waiting for him to tell me where we were going to stay. He said, don't worry about it. We landed. We didn't have a place to stay. And he said, don't worry about it. I'll just call a friend someplace. And we started going from place to place. I'm not that kind of guy. I have to have friends. But my son did. Anyway, one day, I tried to be able to communicate with people. And my son just gave me 2 words to learn. Kamsahamnida and I forgot that. But I couldn't learn it. It was tough. And yeah. And everybody says I still say it wrong. I never was able to say it quite right. And my son one night, he said, Dad, I'm going to leave you here because I want to see a girl. I don't want you following me. So I said, okay. So I'm going to go and I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to find a place to eat and look for someplace that was kind of American. Because I had eaten all of this Korean food, which was great, but I just needed home for a while. We were there 10 days, and it was like the 7th or 8th day, and I needed some American food. So I saw this place, it looked American, I went in, and I asked for a hamburger, and the guy looks at me, and he had no idea what I said. And he asked me the question, I know you've heard this happen before, he asked louder. I don't understand what you say, I'm sorry, I don't know. Finally, I didn't get a hamburger, I got some fish fillet things, but it was okay. I got to eat. And, but when I think my biggest problem in learning Korean was the motivation. I had a hard time believing that I could do it, number one. And I also had a difficult time because I think I was saying to myself, well, am I ever going to use this ever again? And just knowing that there's a possibility to use the language will help our students. And so they're here in Mexico, but they have opportunities to learn English, and when they do, they can use that English, and that's important. And I didn't have that motivation to do that. But so we're going to talk a little bit about these kind of principles as we go through today. Today we'll discuss how to improve student learning. We're talking about learning. Okay, by identifying and meeting student needs, providing an atmosphere of success, and eventually developing a disposition towards independent learning. One of the issues that I seem to fall in the trap of, I fall into this trap quite often. I want my students to be successful so badly that I take them by the hand and I walk through life. And then they leave my class and they're looking for me. You know? So our students live close to Disneyland, so they maybe go to Disneyland and then they're lost or something, and look around, where's my teacher?